So I put up a video yesterday about how I was being followed around by that blue children's group link van. And I basically questioned if that was the same van that had a mattress in the back of it a number of years ago when I was down the Statoil garage. So back of the doors were open basically, and a couple of people seen it. And just to talk about that just for a second, actually, because I questioned was that the same van. I've actually since found out it's actually not the same van. The other van was a white van. I don't know if they have a white van. They obviously do, or they did, or whatever. But anyway, I spoke about a number of things yesterday, and I've highlighted a number of kind of various organisations kind of basically that are involved in this stuff. And then I wakes up this morning and someone's after been at the brake lines of my car, and basically the reservoir was empty. I only checked it down there like a week ago. I have to check it every week over the shit that's going on. And because of previous kind of issues with me brakes on a number of the cars, because this is my fourth time now I have my brakes tampered with. Basically, but that's what's going on. But you have someone there with a background in mechanics, basically. And as you know, I've been speaking about certain groups in Waterford. And kind of you can probably put two and two together who realistically are kind of assisting you. And there's a lot of groups within Waterford now assisting Waterford, Gardaí, and all of this fucking mess. And that's basically what this is. It's a mess, right? My ex and this Aunt Carrie. Now I'm going to go through all this in a couple of weeks, and this is what they don't want me to do. This two of these together, right? I ended up in this religion thing, this Baha'i faith. I joined the thing in 2013. I left it in 2014. And I started warning people about this. I deemed it to be a cult. Anne Carey is employed by Waterford Tussler. She's a psychologist, a sexual psychologist and a social psychologist. And she was recruiting people. Both her and her husband were recruiting people into this religion. Her husband himself told me that the reason he was doing this was to help her spread the word of this. I deemed it to be a cult. They tried to lock us in a school. They kind of like condition us based. There's a lot of crazy stuff with this that you would just have to just hear me out, and I'll explain it over the next couple of weeks, and you can make up your own minds about the kind of controlling nature of this. But this group, this Baha'i faith, this is being promoted by the HSE, by the Irish HSE, that are being promoted. And if you can actually Google it, and you can look online to this, and you can read up BIHAI, check it out, and you can see that it's all pro the Baha'i faith. So clearly somebody, whoever wrote this or contributed to this, is clearly a member of the Baha'i, because they don't mention any of the negativities, which throughout Europe is widely known that this is a cult. Do you know what I mean? This is a very controlling cult. They believe in deceiving people, manipulating people, questioning their religion, kind of. There's crazy stuff about this. Unfortunately, I got mixed into this because they lured in me ex, if I'm being honest with you. Obviously, we were together at the time, and she had some weird issue with her mother. And like always, she's forever cutting the back off her parents. You can go onto the podcast on the two Norries where she appeared on that, and yet again took the opportunity to make herself look like the victim and basically hang her own parents out to dry. But this is what happened, and this woman, Anne Carey, seen kind of how easy this person was going to be to manipulate. You know what I mean? And all she done basically, she became this kind of mother figure to her. And there's a whole story around this stuff, because I was actually studying psychology, and it was actually her husband who was inviting students up to the house up in Tramore. Now I'm going to talk about all of this further, because you won't believe all this stuff at a later date. But I just want to point out, I was highlighting stuff yesterday regarding the whole children's group link, and as we know, there's an ongoing court case there. Now I'm not getting involved in the court case, but I'm just pointing out that will there be a commission of investigations after this, or if the person is found not guilty? I'd imagine there won't be any commission of investigation. So all of this goes away. Do you know what I mean? All the kind of actions from Waterford Gardaí, all the actions of Tussler, or not actions, I should actually say failures, right? Not to mention then children's group link, because a lot of the stuff that's alleged up there, that Mary Halligan was on the board, and she knew, like straight from the horse's mouth in certain kind of situations. She was told, and you can say, well, she didn't want to get involved, or she didn't want to kind of, there was no proof. But when you have so many like allegations and accusations, you think to yourself, well, I'm not going to put that person around kind of like the demographic young girls, because there's clearly a pattern, is there not? But I want to talk about that now later on. I want to let the court case kind of do what it has to do. And I'm not going to tiptoe around this, trying to avoid being brought to court. If anything, like I'd welcome actually being brought to court, being honest with you, to try and defend myself. But my ex, when I left that religion, But when I left that religion in 2014, I left in August. They tried to lock us in the school there in late July, August, and myself, my ex, and the two kids. They tried to say it was a day out for the kids. When we got down there, then they tried to say that we had to stay there for the weekend, that they showed our loyalty to this religion. Then they brought the kids off to make pizza, which I didn't want to go, but my ex had to kind of like please these people, so she went. So she left the kids be brought off for pizza. And when I asked the kids what was it like making pizza when they came back, they told me they weren't allowed to make the pizza unless they chanted this prayer. And this is what they were doing. They were conditioners. And there was lots of kind of the structure around all of this. I'll have to just kind of explain that later day because it's crazy. And as you know, people are trying to gaslight me, and they're trying to basically lump on as much harassment. Do you know what I mean? In an effort that this never gets really revealed or unraveled, basically. And when I left that, right, in 2014, I brought my ex to court. I went straight in and I lodged court proceedings against my ex. Now, this woman is an absolute dangerous person. There's a lot I could say, but I'm not going to say, right? I'll leave it for a later date. But they basically spread around all this kind of like gossip. They tried to imply first that I was gone mentally unstable. My father passed away at the start of 2015, and this was why I didn't go around telling people about this kind of stuff. There was a few people that would be close to me would know I was warning them about the true nature of this Baha'i crowd. But then my father passed away, and then they used this to say that I was gone mentally unstable and that I was accusing all people of being in cults and the HSE and all this kind of stuff. But what I was saying is true, but no one believed me. And Dr. Anne Carey was previously involved in a case regarding a certain member of my family, and I was there as a witness. And it was regarding kind of sexual inappropriate kind of conduct between the daughter of an employee at Tusla and a minor, let's just put it that way. And Dr. Anne Carey, this meeting took place out in Arkeen Hospital, and I assumed she was a guard given the gravity of the situation. And I found out afterwards then that she wasn't a guard. She was an employee of Waterford Tusla. So she was obviously going to kind of find in the favour of Waterford Tusla. Not only that the dates of the allegations were 7 weeks prior. So they done nothing for 7 weeks. They left the minor in the care of the alleged kind of perpetrator. Let's just put it that way. So it was in the interest of Tusla that fucking Miss Anne Carey made all this go away. And she did. And then I was told that she was going to keep it internal and there'd be no guards involved. And it was only at my father's funeral in 2015. My ex brought these two people to my father's funeral. My family never knew them. Like, I detested these people at this point. And they came to try and basically fuck with me head, if I'm being honest with you. And it was then I realised who that person was. And I said to my ex, I said, I'm going to make a complaint. I'm going to tell everyone about the kind of unethical behaviour of these two people, Anne and Pat Carey. But she ran up, being the good little student that she is, and she ran up and told Anne Carey that I knew everything. So the cat was out of the bag. So there was a major issue, because not only was I telling people about the true nature of the Baha'i faith, that it's a cult, and I'll explain all that at a later date, but also how she had contact with my family previously. So she should have been sacked. Do you know what I mean? But Tusla need to keep her on side based on what she done for Tusla previously. Now, what I've just spoken about there, now, I tried to get the documentations, and they said to me, because the minor is over 18 years of age, I can no longer get the access to the documentation. But the documentation is there. They won't give it to me in case I upload it online and I prove what I'm saying to be true. But this, I'd imagine someone somewhere can go and check what I'm saying, whether it's true or not. We were brought out, myself and the minor were brought out to Arkeen Hospital by James Kennedy, who was also a social worker employed by Waterford Tusla. So as you can imagine, that's where all this shit started. So my ex, with the help of this person, they spread all this kind of sexual litter all over fucking, not even Waterford, it's all over Ireland, as we know at this stage, thanks to members of Sinn Féin and Waterford Freewheelers and kind of like there's various other groups, tattoos and yeah, it's basically all over Ireland. And when someone decided to start questioning it, where did you get it from? Where did you get it from? Because it was done 3 times. It was all traced back to my ex. All 3 times it was traced back to my ex. Do you know what I mean? She came down, dropped the kids for sleepover, and then gave over my passwords and told when we were going back with the kids, check that. Do you know what I mean? So she knew what was going to be there. How did you know what was going to be there before it was going to be there? Do you know what I mean? And how did you have my passwords? And what were you doing dropping the kids down for sleepovers? Do you know what I mean? But that's a whole other story. But that's what was done. And all this sexual shit that was spread, it was spread everywhere. It was spread mainly through Waterford Council. That's originally where it was started. Now I know who handed in, Pat Doyle out in Tramore handed that in. I can't say too much because I don't want to get somebody that's employed in certain kind of places into trouble. But and it was that person found out to me. It was Pat Doyle handed in the stuff into Waterford City Council, and that was in 2016. But not only that, that person found out to me that I was given a reference by Joe Daniels trying to get us to sign back a house up in Barrack Street. And we found it, and I found out afterwards then that the reference that he gave us, because we wouldn't sign the house over because we didn't trust Waterford Council, they were saying if you sign the house over, sure, we'll get you moved. There was a load of drama up in Barrack Street. That's also another story because this stuff is crazy. And if we signed over the house, that he would assist us getting kind of like a house swap basically. So we didn't really trust him, but he said, look, he'd give us a reference. Do you know what I mean? To help us out with the estate agents because he has connections and all this kind of shit. So we signed the yoke. And as soon as we signed the house over, they basically turned around and said that we chose to move out. We chose to leave all our furniture there. We chose to leave our possessions there. We chose to leave our clothes there. We continue paying the rent for 13 months. Now, obviously, that don't make no sense. There was supposed to be an investigation. This is what we were told. Hence the reason our stuff was still up there. Hence the reason we were paying the rent. Surely that makes more sense, doesn't it? But we found out afterwards that this reference that was given to us, which is still available by Joe Daniels, is an illegal document and should never have been given. And that reference alone needed to be investigated. So Waterford City Council are after pulling in every favour imaginable. So you have all these subcontracted twits around Waterford. Not all of them, some of them. This is a kind of a daily thing now. It doesn't really bother me anymore, being honest with you. It is what it is, following that tracker that's placed on my car. And this was spread everywhere. And by the time I realised where this shit was after coming from, basically my ex and this woman in Ancarry, it was too late. They were all after sending this everywhere. They were all after showing their true colours. To be basically corrupt, cronyism, fucking lapdogs for these people. That's basically what happened. They got caught being corrupt. So now they need to create the narrative after the fact that gives them just cause for being corrupt. And I'm on the verge of speaking about this. And if I have to kind of name the names and face court or face prison, I don't mind. I'm going to face that, and so be it. But I know this whole situation sounds crazy, and the reason I'm speaking so fast because I'm trying to fit these kind of video into 10 minutes, but it's probably going to take 2 10-minute uploads now, being honest with you. But so now Waterford City Council they actually had a hand in myself and my wife being losing our apartment out in Tramore in 2016. They had a hand in us losing our home, our possessions, our clothes, you know what I mean, in 2017. I know they've been persistent trying to get us fucking evicted over and over again with the assistance of a certain kind of, let's just say, local employees. And I'll just leave it at that, I suppose. But that's what's going on. They spread all this shit, and now they're trying to create the narrative of just cause. Do you know what I mean? Whereas I don't want to create any kind of narrative. All I want to do is have a transparent investigation. And if I'm deemed to be after doing that, sure, will I not be hanging myself? So it's a win-win situation. And I'm sure these people are saying that they're not corrupt, that this didn't happen. So it's a win-win situation. Unless, of course, there is. But now they've created the narrative which justifies their corruption. That's essentially what they're after doing. Do you know what I mean? Because they can't get away from what they're after doing, because unfortunately loose lips sink ships, and people were going around telling people, like, boasting what they were after doing. So they basically kind of confirmed what I was after been saying. And that's what's going on. And I'm about to talk about all this, and they're trying to put me under as much pressure as possible, and kind of like they're endangering my wife and my daughter. Like, that's the fourth time. Now that's the third time on that car that the brakes have been tampered with, and 3 other cars before that, or 2 other cars. No, 2 other cars before that were tampered with 3 times. Do you know what I mean? There was another time we were rammed off the road, and the case was closed within 2 weeks. No one was arrested for it, but the Watford Gardaí closed the case within 2 weeks. We were nearly pushed over the cliff road when they started talking out about members of Sinn Féin harassing us. I was after uploading David Cunnan's friend request to my wife. And unfortunately now we have all them kind of voting now tomorrow, and that's going to overshadow quite a lot of this kind of stuff, which I understand. And the only thing I have to say even on that thing is, anyone who's going to vote for Sinn Féin, because to be honest with you, I think they're more or less all the same. It's not because I'm kind of like biased towards one party or the other, but it was Sinn Féin who got so far ahead of the polls They straight away turned around and tried to please the EU by forcing something upon the Irish citizens who put Sinn Féin in place. So you'd be crazy to vote for these people. Do you know what I mean? If I'm being honest with you. And that's just my opinion, but it's up to yourselves. But that's what's going on. And I'm going to start retracing my steps there now over the next few kind of weeks. And they don't want me doing this. Hence the reason they're trying to endanger my wife and my daughter. And they're trying everything in that to try and provoke me, being honest with you. And I said it in a one or two previous videos, this is going to reach a pinnacle. This is not the pinnacle. As much as they like to think, because they lump as much kind of pressure on me. Like if I go outside, I'm followed everywhere around by these like twits. And as I said in the video yesterday, that whole stuff up in children's group, I have a lot of stuff I want to say about that. I just don't want to kind of interfere with that court case that's going on, if I'm being honest with you. And I'll point out some kind of like situations about how the same 3 or 4 people are constantly banded around over and over again from different people at different times in different messages and in different emails. Do you know what I mean? And what I forgot to put up there yesterday, you go and you can look at the video that I uploaded there yesterday. I forgot to put the link in the comments of Ray Halligan, and he's trying to pass a threat through me to one of the girls who might potentially be a witness in an effort to kind of impede the progress up in Children's Group Link or the investigation. Now, if that was any of the rest of us, he'd be arrested and brought to court. But because it's one of the Halligans, like all the other Halligans, it falls down between the cracks. Do you know what I mean? And this is the ongoing thing realistically in Waterford. This is what it is. They've gotten away with stuff for 30 odd fucking years. None of them held accountable. Like, it is crazy. It's hard to talk about. I have to talk about stuff regarding like the passing away of my parents and stuff like that, which I'm not comfortable talking about, but I have to. Do you know what I mean? The lack of support from my own family. And I'm going to be honest about it, and I know I'm kind of giving these people ammunition by even talking about this, but it needs to be spoken about, because there's members of my family has actually information that would support what I'm saying, if I'm being honest with you. And whether or not they want to actually come forward, I don't really know. But if they don't, I kind of understand, because if you look what I'm going through, why would you kind of like throw your hat into this mess, being honest with you? But it needs to be legally taken in front of a judge. That's as simple as that. If a judge tells me there's no case to answer, I would accept that. I'd try and get on with my life. Whether I like it or not, I'd have to get on with my life. But until that happens, I'm going to keep going with it. Do you know what I mean? I don't trust the process of kind of making complaints. GSOC have failed my complaints. Waterford City Council have failed my complaints. The solicitor in question regarding my case has failed regarding all my complaints. They've doctored then the paperwork. Do you know what I mean? Afterwards. Now they know I'm making complaints. They know I'm making complaints. And now they've removed the documents saying that the statute of limitations is gone. So they edited the files. That makes no sense. That clearly shows you're trying to hide something, does it not? And then a lot of the emails they took out, I was actually able to get back in Google Cloud. Now these are all available. I'm going to put them out there. I'm going to name the people that I'm talking about, because I know I've been naming some people. And I'm going to name the rest of them. Like that solicitor from Tramore in Waterford down the line to Judge Stone, it should be called out. Do you know what I mean? And I'll show you the document and I'll show you she's lying before I give her name. But her family would have kind of connections to high profile kind of politicians in Waterford and Gowers and all this. So kind of one thing is feeding into the next thing. And that's basically what it is. One thing is feeding into the next thing. Obviously, I'm rattling a few kind of cages by speaking about what I'm speaking about. But I'm not lying. I'm not embellishing the truth. Anything I've spoken about is actually public information. But they're able to apply so much information from certain groups within Waterford that people are frightened to come forward, do you know what I mean? And they tiptoe around these people, despite being a bunch of cowards. But like most cowards, they operate in groups, and do you know what I mean? And people are not willing to stand up to groups, which I understand as well, also. But yeah, so we're going to take it from there, and we'll see what happens, I suppose. So thanks, bye.